on how to check these checkpoints. Okay, here. So lateral head. Again, this will be the proper posture. Okay, so this is the proper posture and this is the wrong posture. Okay, so for example, if in case your evaluator observe that na ay mga movement observation, posture distortion, okay, so mo to dapat ilaha i-check sa PFA form. So for example, shoulder, okay, so this one is the correct. Okay, and then when we say protracted, bako. Okay, so for in case if your assessor see you that in doing the static postural assessment for shoulder, nagbako mo, so dito siya mag-check. Okay, i-checkan sa protracted. But if the other around, the retracted, so instead of bako, so going back na pod. So ato siya mag-check. If any observation lang ang na-observe class, so they need to put check on that part lang. Okay, so here again, the observation, movement observation. So all the results on your physical fitness assessment test, kindly write it in the initial evaluation. Okay, so all initial evaluation or IE, then as you can see na tayo left and right. So L and R stands for left and right. So for lateral, since this is side view man, and again, the evaluator will choose asa nga side. If ever na siya sa right side nag-check, so they need to put the check mark on that side. Okay? And kindly inform your evaluator about how to write the results in the initial evaluation, especially in lateral and anterior. Okay, so for anterior, since this is front view man, so front view, so imagine the evaluator nag-face sa student or you student, okay, while doing the static postural assessment. So ang checkpoint na needs to be checked if na ay mga postural distortion, if the knees, if it's adducted or abducted, externally rotated or internally rotated, and if the feet, if it's flat, okay, and internally rotated, externally rotated. Okay, so maura gyud na ang mga movement observation na dapat i-check sa evaluator. Okay, so wala na ilain. So we have here for the lateral, again this is side, so the lumbopelvic pelvic hip. This one is the goat posture, and this one is what we call the anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, and then again, if makita ang ganing while doing the postural assessment static, you need to put check mark. Okay, and this one is for posterior. Okay, and how about for anterior? Front view. So for since this is front view man, so the student and the evaluator nag-face-to-face sila while doing or checking the physical fitness assessment test. So I need you to write it lang left or right lang. Okay, so since front view man, so wala man tayo kuan. So check lang left or right for the movement observation. Okay, so for knees, this is what we call adducted, and this one if it's abducted. Okay, and this one externally internally rotated, and this one is externally rotated. And also for the feet, this one if it's internally rotated, that's what we call bakang or kimpi. Okay, I think kimpi na siya. And for externally rotated, if it's turned out, ang iyang feet. And this one, try to check if your foot, no, one foot flat ba siya. So wala siya space in between sa toes and sa inyong heel. So this one is flat foot. So if nakakita mo na ay space nila, so dili siya flat. Okay? And the next one for postural assessment, still in postural assessment, is dynamic. So dynamic because while doing the postural assessment, you need to perform the overhead squat. Okay? And then for same thing happen for the view, anterior, lateral, and posterior. So anterior is for the front view, lateral is the side, and posterior is at the back. Okay, and again, all the results must be written in the initial evaluation column. Okay, and here is the proper procedure on how to perform the overhead squat assessment. So proper posture, overhead squat assessment, start in lateral view, side view. Okay, and this will be your preparation, and the next slide would be your proper posture. Excuse me, proper posture on doing the overhead squat. Okay, and then you need to hold this for at least 3 to 5 seconds in order for you, the assessor, no, has enough time to go around to check those kinetic checkpoints that need to be observed. If while doing this one, na ba yung mga muscles or mga imbalance distortion on your posture. Okay, so for example, in anterior view, kinetic checkpoints. Okay, feet and knees. Okay, these are the checkpoints that needs to be checked or observed. Okay, and then for the movement observation, while doing the overhead squat, kindly check the feet if while doing the overhead squat, nag-turn out ba siya. So like this one, this is turn out. Okay, ang feet nag-turn out while doing the overhead squat. Okay, and for the tuhod, for the knees, moves inward. Okay, as you can see, inward while doing the overhead squat. And again, our target here is to perform the proper posture of overhead squat. Okay, and this one is knees move inward and the knees moves outward while doing the overhead squat. Okay, so kindly again inform your assessor. Okay, and then for lateral, this is about side view. So pelvic hip. Okay, so this is very excessive, forward lean. And this one, as you can see, low back arches. Okay, so while doing the overhead squat, supposedly it's flat lang yun siya. This one, like this one, this is the proper. And this one, the second picture, low back arches. As you can see, nasa yung arch na forma. Okay, and then this one is for low back arches. Okay, so this one is for low back arches. Okay, and then for the shoulder, no, not for the shoulder, for the posterior, I mean. So for posterior, since this is back view, so the assessor will go behind her to the student. Okay, in order for the assessor can see those checkpoints that need to be checked. Okay, about the movements or the distortion. Okay, so while doing the overhead squat. So for example, this one, feet. So while doing the overhead squat, I think there are some instances yun. Some student doing the overhead squat mo raise ang heel. Okay, so that needs to be checked and observed. And then if ever foot flattens, okay, so i-check ang foot flattens. Okay, so for posterior, nada siya checkpoints. Three. Feet, the lumbopelvic hip, and the shoulder. Okay, so that's the postural assessment, static and dynamic. Okay, so the second one is what we call the circumference measurement or the girth measurement. So all you need to do, class, is to, again, stand lang, allow, okay? Stand without doing any movements, and then your assessor will be the one who will get the measurement specifically on this side. So specific only, there are specific parts of the body that needs to be measured. So for example, the chest, the right upper arm, the right forearm, the waist, the hips, the right thigh, and the right calf. Okay, so these are the sites or the specific parts of our body that needs to be measured by our assessor. And for the results, again, you need to put it in the initial evaluation. And for the first re-evaluation, second, third to fourth re-evaluation, kindly leave it blank. So all the results must be written in initial evaluation. And since this is about measurement, so kindly use centimeter for the measurement. Okay, for the girth measurement. Okay, so these are some examples. Okay, but there in our site wala siya neck measurement. Okay, so this is just an example on how to measure properly. And take note, in measuring, make sure do not measure it too tight, not too loose. Okay, so make sure sakto ra gid siya in measuring. Okay, so this will be your physical fitness assessment test. that you need to do the GERD measurement. Okay, and this one is for your cardiorespiratory assessment. Okay, perform the 3-minute step test by having the client perform 24 steps per minute on a 12-inch step for a total of 3 minutes. Okay, so roughly 96 steps total within 3 minutes. So the first equipment for cardiorespiratory 3-minute step test is you need to have a stair or a box that you can use, and make sure that box or the stair measure 12 inches. Okay, that's the correct measurement for your equipment. Okay, and after securing this one, you need to have stopwatch, or you can just use your phone. And the challenging part here, class, is I know this is all about up, up, and down, down. Okay, but the challenging part there is you need to do this one in the correct cadence. Okay, Melody and Joyce, are you raising your hand, please?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry for the interruption, sir. Many from our classmates, sir, also from other sections, sir, kay nag-wait for I accept, sir, sa meet, sir. I'm so sorry,
Ah,
sir.
sige, it's okay, miss. I think na-admit na nako. Okay? So, mo ni siya ang problem, class, no? If dagan ta nga klase. Kay, while mag-present ko sa PowerPoint, so dili yung ko ma-aware nga naa pa di ay waiting na ma-admit. Okay? So, maybe next time, maybe one of you make kuan lang link for us sa tuwang klase, and then so that sila na ang mo-admit. Then ako is mo-discuss na lang ko without any disruption. Okay? Sige. So, but na-accept na ako. Let's continue. So, again, 3-minute step test. Okay, so the challenging part there is you need to perform this one for 3-minute mark. Okay, that's the time limit, and then correct cadence. So always start with your right foot, followed by your left foot. So right up, left up, then as you go down, always start with your right foot again. Okay, and I already posted the link for the metronome or the music that you can follow. Okay, so that you can follow the tempo, the correct cadence to serve as your guide. So that you will not perform the 3-minute step test not too slow, not too fast. Okay, so the reason why you need to follow that one or to use so that you can follow the correct tempo of the music. Okay, so I am suggesting that you need to use that music for the 3-minute step test. Okay, and after the 3-minute step test, okay, do not sit down, do not drink water, but locate your pulse. Okay, and then count the number of beats within 1 minute. Okay, and then that number, okay, that's your heartbeat in 1 minute, and then mo na siya imbutang ato sa PFA form. Okay, so the assessor gihapon ang mag-write sa result. Okay, and then the next one is for your cardio. No, not for cardio, but for strengthening or endurance. So you need to perform the partial curl up test. So the partial curl up test measures your endurance of your abdominal muscles. So ma-measure ni partial curl up test on how strong or how can you endure your abdominal muscles. No, I know bisan pa ganing mga 10 lang partial curl up test. Sakit na kayo na sa atong abdominal muscles. Okay, but here you need to do as much as possible 75 maximum. Okay, that's your target yun. Maximum 75 repetition of partial curl up. Okay, but if dili gud kaya to go 75, so if in case you stop lang 20 repetitions, so that's the time na you will record the results on the PFA form. So wala na siya trial 2, trial 3, only trial 1. Okay, and as much as possible, if you can go beyond 75, you can continue if makaya pa. But take note, once you made a stop or a pause while doing the partial curl up test, that's the time that you need to stop. Okay, and then the evaluator will start writing the result on the PFA form once nakakita siya nga nag-stop na mo. Okay, so there's no need for you to continue since nag-stop na mo and nakaras na mo. Okay? And then for the interpretation class, you can find it in our PFA form. Okay, so I already uploaded again the PFA form in our GCR. So write the results, and after writing the results, go and check the interpretation. Okay, if it's below average, above average. Okay, so all the interpretation, you can find it in the PFA form. Okay, and then take note in interpretation, make sure na mo sa inyong age bracket. So na dito siya yung mga age bracket, then dito mo mag-base sa for interpretation. And how many repetitions supposedly ang inyong makaya on your age bracket. Okay? So the first checklist for part 1 is all about the 4 physical fitness assessment tests together with your PFA form. Okay? So again, assignment for part 1, module 3 would be your 4 physical fitness assessment tests together with your PFA form. And we have here 3-minute step test and partial curl up test. You can submit video documentation only for the 3-minute step test and partial curl up test without using time lapse. Okay, I hope that's very clear. And for postural assessment, static dynamic, and girth measurement, you can just use photo documentation or video documentation. Okay, this is only optional. But for 3-minute step test and partial curl up test, you need to submit video documentation without using time lapse. Okay, and also do not forget to submit also your PFA form in our GCR. Okay, so any clarification regarding the module 3 part 1? Go ahead, so that later we can continue sa part 2. Yes, Apura?
Nga part, sir, is mag-need pa man ko og medical certificate, sir, no?
Yes.
Then, dili lang sa ko mo perform, ano, sir? Or, sabaw?
Only for conmis, 3-minute step test and partial curl up test. Do not perform these 2 specific physical fitness assessment test. But for postural assessment and girth measurement, I think you can do that, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay. You're welcome, miss. Okay, and how about Padilla?
Eddie.
What was that? Kailan mo ato, class?
So, hindi tayo isulot, sir. What was that?
Amigo to na ko, sir. Mura sa amigo nagamit atong iyang phone do gikabuangan.
Okay. So make sure ha, if we're having class ba, make sure ha, kamo lang ang mag-use sa inyong phone ha. Make sure dili lang ta mo kan og mga other people. Okay, kay you know, see what happened. Okay, so natay murag mga tawag na mga crusher, okay, or I don't know if that's the correct word ba. Mga crusher lang kanang magsamok-samok sa ato ang klase. Okay? But so far and okay. So Apura, yes miss.
Wala ko nag-live, sir.
You're raising your hand, Manggod. Kindly unclick that one. Yes. Okay. So, Kulminas, let me have Kulminas first.
Sir, clarification lang ba? So, sa perform the 4 fitness test, guys, kanang ang documentation ani pictures ra or pwede siya i-kuan pictures then himbo siya video.
Yes, miss. Okay, again. So, akong i-clarify ha for the video documentation ha. So, for postural assessment, girth measurement, okay, you have 2 options, either video or photo documentation. Okay? And then for the 3-minute step test and partial curl up test, walay optional yun ani. You need to submit video documentation. Okay? But if ever your postural assessment is all photo together with your girth measurement, So ano yung buhaton? Pwede ninyo masubmit within one video together with your 3-minute step test and partial curl-up test, or you can just submit 3 files. So photo documentation for your postural assessment and girth measurement. Okay, so nana na siya sa PowerPoint, naka-paste na ang mga pictures. And the video documentation na ang i-submit is the 3-minute step test and partial curl-up test. And the last one would be your PFA form. Okay, I hope it's already clear.
Sir, thank
You're welcome. Okay, how about Minguez?
Kanang kan na ko sir kanang is it okay sir na ang assessor kay kanang friend then nag-study po sa Southwest?
Yes, miss. Pwede na, miss. Pwede na gani uyab, miss, if ever na may uyab.
Okay sir, thank you.
Okay. So, this time, you can, anyone. Okay, as long as na may assessor. Okay. So, any clarifications regarding the part 1 of module 3? Okay, so I think this one is already clear. Okay, so now let me present the next one, the part 2. Okay, so part 2 is all about your exercise prescription for cardio and strengthening. And so before you can formulate or design your exercise prescription, so you must know first what are the components of exercise training sessions. Okay, so what are the components, okay, para ta maka-formulate og exercise prescription. But for that, okay, what is the purpose why we need to have the purpose of exercise prescription? Okay, so this is simply na ato ang gi-follow this exercise prescription for 1 month, for example. Okay, so same thing yapon sa medical field. Okay, so if ang doctor na ay prescription nga gihatag, so that prescription mao na iyang prescription nga allowed na if yang i-follow nga i-take sa mga medication. So here our design for a specified purpose here is your cardio, to improve your cardio and to improve your strength. Okay, so that's our main target on module 3 part 2. Okay, so here are the components of exercise training sessions. Okay, and later you need to have a piece of paper and pen. Okay, so warm up, you need to do warm up before you can start doing your routine drills. For example, if you're a player, mga varsity player like in basketball, so first thing they need to do is to do or perform warm up, right? And then after doing warm up, okay, so that's the time that they can participate the drills, the practice of the specific program. So here, since this is all about exercise, so warm up and then go straight to your conditioning. This one is your second component. So the conditioning class, this is about your specific exercise for a specific program. Okay, so for example, cardio. So what specific exercise ang imong i-perform for your cardio? So we have jogging, cycling, okay, and Zumba, for example. So after warm up, go straight to your conditioning. Okay, that's the specific plan of your program. And after doing the conditioning, do not rest, do not sit down, do not drink water. Okay, but go to cool down immediately so that all your heart rate will become to normal again. Okay, so cool down, that's the third component. Again, the last one would be stretching. So stretching is very important also in the components of exercise training sessions, because here, while doing the stretching, we can avoid any mga pamaol. Okay? While ta nag-perform og exercise after. So we need to do stretching to avoid any mga pamaol, for example. Okay? So in writing your exercise prescription, since you already know what are the components, so you need to use this one. components in order for you to you can make okay, so na pinag-join for a while. Okay, so since you already know again what are the 4 components in exercise training session, so you need to apply these components in your exercise prescription. Okay, so for your exercise prescription, we will be following the FITT principle. Okay, so I guess you're already familiar with that one. So F stands for the frequency. Okay, it simply refers to the number of activity it's being performed, or how often you perform your activity within a week. Okay, so for example, for beginners, can you write it down in your paper? 3 times a week. Okay, so 3 times a week for your frequency. And then for the intensity, this is the level of the intensity which the activity is being performed. Okay, so for the intensity, again, this is the level of the activity which is being performed. So for the intensity, girls and boys, we only have 3 intensities. So light and moderate intensity and high intensity. So since you are all beginners, kindly choose lang between light and moderate intensity for your program later. Okay, so I will give you example later. Okay, the actual format. Okay, the actual file of the exercise prescription for both cardio and strengthening. And next one, okay, we have the T. Okay, so the first T stands for the time or duration. Okay, so this one is refers now to the length of time that the activity is being performed. So write it down in your paper again. Time 30 minutes. That's the maximum or advisable for beginners. Okay. Plus, I don't know if if katubato ning classmate ninyo or na nag-use kay lagi mag-raise og hand and then mawala na pod. Okay? So, maka-stop ko, then ako i-check if na questions clarification. Okay, but in-check ako, wala. Okay, so let's continue. For time duration again, 30 minutes, kindly write it in your paper. Okay, and then for the last T, this would be your particular type or the specific type of exercise of the physical activity that you choose to do. Okay, so this one, for example, 2 types man of exercise prescription for cardio. So you need to choose one specific exercise only for cardio. Okay, it's up to you as long as that exercise can help, okay, your cardio na ma-improve. Okay, so this one is the form, the actual form. Kindly take screenshot what's in your screen. Okay, so okay, thank you, and I hope it's already finished. So we have here the components, the target. Okay, so all you need to do is to fill this part here, column, target. Okay, so you have here an example. So since you already know, for the beginners, frequency, 3 times a week. So just change the 5 times a week into 3 times a week. And then for the intensity, you need to be specific. Kindly write the intensity on this part, light intensity and moderate intensity only. And for the resting heart rate, everyone, you have 2 options here, or 2 ways in order for you to get your resting heart rate. So first, early in the morning, okay, bago mo mata, immediately locate your pulse, count the number of beats in 1 minute. Okay, and then after counting, that's your resting heart rate already. So count lang the number of beats within 1 minute, and after that's your heart rate, resting heart rate, I mean. Okay, and option 2 would be, for example, nagbuhat mo og mga routine like nanilhig, nag-jogging. So I want you to rest for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, then after resting, locate your pulse again, count the number of beats in 1 minute. Okay, and then that's your resting heart rate. Okay, so next one would be the heart rate reserve. So in order for you to get your heart rate reserve, everyone, it will depend on the level of intensity of your program. So since here in our example, as you can see, high intensity. So in order for you to get this number, kindly screenshot on this slide. Okay, the table 2.1 and the modified board scale. Okay, let's continue. So again, the level of intensity based on our example is high or vigorous intensity. So this is column 1. Column 1 is all about the intensity. And after, go to column 5, the maximal heart rate percentage. Okay, so vigorous, 76. There you go. Okay, so that's why it's 76%. But for your case, since you will start light and moderate intensity, so for light intensity, for your heart rate reserve, 64% below. Okay, and for moderate, 64 to 76%. Okay, ang inyong heart rate reserve. Now, let's continue to our example. So I hope this one, heart rate reserve is already clear. So all you need to do is to check, okay, what level of intensity of program, and after knowing the level intensity of your program, go and check the table 2.1 column 5. Okay. And next would be the target heart rate at high and low interval. So the first one, to get your heart rate at high interval, please follow the formula. 220 minus 25 minus 88. Okay. Any idea why it's 25 here? Anong dili man 20? Okay. Any ideas lang? Reason why it's 25. Okay, so dili.
Tungkol sir,
Again, tungod sa
young age.
yes, very good. Age. Okay, so tungod sa age. That's good. So the constant number here only is the 220. And then you minus it with your age, minus your resting heart rate, which I do not know. Yes, Miss Apora? You have question, Miss? Okay, let's continue lang. Okay, para we can finish it by 7. Okay? So again, 220 constant number minus your age, minus your resting heart rate, times 0.76. Okay, any idea why it's 0.76?
Ang heart rate reserve sir kay 76%.
Okay, so all you need to do is to make it into decimal. So that's why it's 0.76 plus your resting heart rate and get the total 169 beats per minute. And this will be your heart rate at high interval. Okay, so take note this is your heart rate at high interval. So maura na siya inyong limit sa inyong heart rate at high interval. Okay, so if you go beyond to your heart rate at high interval, probably mahitabo, makuyapan, okay, malipong, magliso na ginhawa. Okay, so that's why this is very important that you need to know your resting target heart rate at high interval. Okay, so that you have already got a guide. We will not go beyond to 169 beats per minute. Okay, in doing mga routines, for example. Okay, so next would be heart rate at low interval. So copy the first formula, 220 constant minus your age minus resting heart rate times 0.38. Okay, so this time, anong 0.38 man? Why it's not 7.76? Anyone?
Is that half of 76%, sir?
Yes, very good. Okay, so get the half of the number of your original heart rate reserve. Okay, so the half of 7.76 is 0.38. Okay, so that's the reason why it's 0.38. And then copy plus your resting heart rate and get the answer, and 128 beats per minute. Okay, so this will be your heart rate at low interval. And then for the RPE, I asked you earlier that you need to screenshot those slides to table 2.1 together with the board rate or perceived exertion, or what we call RPE. So based on our example 15, because he's using the old RPE. But for your case, we will use the modified one, this one. Okay, and then it's 15. Again, it will depend on the intensity of your program. So again, for ato ang case, beginners, so if ever you decide moderate intensity, so you will write there for your board rate perceived exertion, 3, number 3, and for light intensity, 1 or 2. Okay, so kining apart characters ba? Okay, so instead of writing 5, which is hard, use the modified scale. So for moderate, 3, and then for light intensity, 1 or 2. So you decide lang. And let's continue to the next component, which is about time. So for that time, this will be your the components, okay, of exercise prescription. First is warm up. Okay, so I need you to copy 5 minutes at low interval for warm up. Okay, so there's no need for you to change sa kining apart here. Copy warm up, 5 minutes at low interval. And for the stimulus or what we call the total number of your exercise routine. So for example, and again, 30 minutes is the maximum for beginners, right? So nana mo 30 minutes, then minus a warm up. So remaining time is 25 minutes. Okay, and then if we continue to sa cool down, 3 minutes cool down at low interval. So you need to copy cool down 3 minutes at low interval. So nana siya 8 minutes ang nakuha. So 30 minutes minus 8. Okay? So the total number of your stimulus is 22. Okay? So total gapon siya og 30 minutes. Okay? And then for the number of cycles, class, it will depend on the level of intensity of your program. Okay? So for example, here in the table, 4 cycles because the intensity is high. And take note for light intensity, 5 cycles. Okay, I hope inyong gi-write sa notes ha. So intensity again, 5 cycles. And for moderate intensity, 1 cycle only. Okay. So again, for light intensity, 5 cycles. Moderate intensity, 1 cycle. And for the type of your program, I want you to be specific again. Only 1 specific exercise for cardio. Okay, so instead of writing a motorized treadmill here, write your specific exercise for your cardio that inyong i-perform starting the implementation. Okay, so let's continue. And I want you to screenshot also this slide. Okay, so again, the number of cycles, it will depend on the level of intensity of your program. So again, here for high intensity, 4 cycles. So as you can see, I have 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, that's your high intensity. Okay, I mean the number of cycles. Okay, and then for moderate, again, the reason why it's 1 number of cycles, because for moderate intensity class, this is what we call continuous exercise. Okay, so if you've decided if ever moderate intensity, the level of your program is, you need to choose a specific exercise that you think you can perform it continuously without any cycles. Okay, so what are those exercises, man? So for example, cycling. I think you can do that cycling for continuously. Jogging, you can perform it also. Jogging. Okay, so I need you to choose specific exercise for moderate also. And then for the light intensity, 5 cycles. Okay, so 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Okay, that's why it's 5 cycle. So next would be the reason why you need to know your heart rate at high interval and low interval. Okay, so here's why. So for the 5 minutes class, okay, I hope you can see the red color hang a laser. So on this part, kining a lower part, 5 minutes, 60 seconds, 66, 66, 60, and then 3 minutes. This is your heart rate at low interval. Okay. And then on this part, 30 seconds, the number of cycles, this will be your heart rate at high interval. Okay. So you need to expect, okay, or expected that each cycle on your prescription here in light intensity, so 30 seconds, and if you again, for example, running, okay, your specific type of the program for your cardio. So for 30 seconds, you need to run for the first cycle 30 seconds. Okay, and then 30 seconds run, and then once the 30 second is finished, locate your pulse. Okay, and then count the number of beats within 1 minute. Okay, and then after counting, go to your prescription and try to check if naaba siya sa kining range here. 169 beats in 1 minute. Okay? And for if ever, sa first cycle, lower, okay, or gamay siya sa inyong original heart rate at high interval, so what I need you to do is to make some adjustment. Okay, so that on cycle 2, you will apply that adjustment, okay, and then perform the 30 seconds with the adjustment so that after the second cycle is finished, so locate your pulse again for 1 minute, count the number of beats, and then check it again if sakto ba sa inyong original heart rate at high interval. Okay? So, this will be your range lagid class. Do not go beyond with your heart rate at high interval. So, as much as possible, you need to get into this range. 169. This for our lang example ha, para dili mo ma-confuse ba kay here in our example is 169 man. Okay? So you need to get to this specific number for you to be able ma-achieve ninyo ang heart rate at high interval. Okay. And for the low heart rate interval class, kining a part sa lower part. So after performing the warm up for 5 minutes, question for Camargo na sir, need ba yes, as much as possible, class, you need to get those number yun. Okay? Dili pwede mo lapas. Okay? Dili pwede mo lapas. Okay? So, dili pwede mo lapas. For example lang, sa inyong heart rate at high interval. So, dili ta pwede allowed mo lapas sa as much as possible. If dili gani makaya ang target no sa 169 sa atong example, at least closer to those number. Okay? And again, for the heart rate at low interval, so for example, 5 minutes, yes, mao gina ang mahitabo, yes. Dong, mag-trial and error good mo. Okay, so that's why as a first trial pa gani, sa first cycle, you need to observe. Okay, if you think sa first cycle is layo kayo sa inyong heart rate at high interval, so maybe the way you perform your exercise, a specific exercise for your cardio sa first cycle is maybe kuwangan siya. So maybe paspasan mo in order for you no to itong heart rate mapaspas. Okay? So that's the case yun. Mag-trial and error yun mo class. Okay, so don't worry because you have kuha naman at least 5 cycles. Okay? And let's continue. Okay, 7 na. Okay, but we will finish it by 7:30 or okay na class, 7:30. Kaya ra?
Okay na, sir.
Okay, sige.
Hindi lang sir,
So,
kasi nag-complete ang Presley. Sir
sige.
Angel.
Anyways, after ani class, dili naman ta mag-meet. Okay? Sige lang. So, dili ta mag-meet sa to ang schedule. Okay, so ako yung hatag ang instruction later, diba? Ako sa natiwason ha. Sige. So again, high intensity ha. Light intensity, make sure each time, ang target nato is to get closer to our original heart rate at high interval. Okay, and then for the lower part here, 5 minutes after doing the warm up for 5 minutes, locate your pulse, everyone, and then count the number of beats within 1 minute. Okay, and then that's your check it first if closer ba siya sa inyong heart rate at low interval. Okay, so that's the main purpose why we need to get know our heart rate at high interval, especially heart rate at high interval, okay, and low interval also. And okay, before we will continue to the next prescription for strengthening, any clarification first? Yes, in Miles.
Sir, ni-mention ka ganina nga kuan ka nang pwede ra at least, no? At least ba madool siya sa high
Yes.
interval,
Yes.
which is 169.
Yes.
Sir, pwede kuan lang siguro. Ako lang sir ba kay matrial and error method man good. So meaning to say kanang hatag lang sir o kanang average gani kung asa gyud pila gyud.
Okay, sige. So for example, kini mag-base na sa to example ha. So 169. So 169 is your heart rate. Supposedly that's your heart rate at high interval. Sige, ani na lang class. So my suggestion, so use the first cycle and second cycle, okay, as your trial and error. Okay, and then if ever asa ang closer number between those cycle, that would be your heart rate, that would be your target na. Okay? So if dili gani kaya ma-achieve ang heart rate at high interval, so again, use the first cycle and second cycle as your trial and error. And then what number gani ang closer sa 169, so that will be your heart rate at high interval. How about that one?
Awesome. Pwede ra sir, thank you.
Okay. Any clarification?
Good evening, sir. Asa ganito na gikuha ng 76%, sir?
Okay. So for the 76%, it will depend on the level of intensity of your program. So as you can see here in our program example, it's high intensity. So you need to refer to the table 2.1, this table. Okay, and then check for the intensity. So it's vigorous na or high intensity, excuse me, and 76, column 5 for maximal heart rate percentage. Okay, so this one, 76. And for your case again, light and moderate, so kinilang 64 below for light intensity, and for moderate, 64 to 76%. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
And any clarifications regarding your first exercise prescription for your cardio?
Excuse me, sir. Kanang 25 sa kay age man na mo ibutang diha.
Yes, your age.
Sige, thank you, sir.
Okay, so I think wala na clarifications no, so that we can continue. Okay, and for the next prescription would be your strengthening. Okay, kindly take screenshot for your muscular resistance training prescription. Okay, so this will be your actual format. Okay, so the reason why I asked you to screenshot those prescriptions so that you can make your own file, okay, by following this format. Okay, you have already the guide, so all you need to do is to make your own file following the format. Okay, so we have here an example. So first, training age, this must be your age. So goal, we need to be uniform here. Increase strength, just copy increase strength since this prescription is for Conman, strengthening man. And for the volume or the intensity, again, you decide if it's light or moderate intensity. And for the frequency, recommended for strengthening is twice a week. Okay? So for the session and duration, for the time, instead of 80 minutes, including warm up and cool down, kindly change this one into 60 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, that's including warm up and cool down. Okay, and next would be the warm up stretch. So for warm-up stretch, I need you to choose 3 specific warm-up stretch for this part. Okay, and take note, make sure you can do that properly. Okay, also for the specific type of exercises that you will be performing in your strengthening, make sure you can do the exercises properly. And take note, this prescription is to increase your strength. So you need to choose specific exercises that can help you to improve your strength. Okay? So again, warm up stretch, choose 3 specific warm up stretches. And then for the duration, sets, and repetition, copy. Okay? So copy lang. And next would be, let's skip this part first. Okay? So ako na siyang i-discuss later. So for the cool down, let's go to the cool down stretch. So for cool down, everyone, same thing. Kindly choose 3 specific warm-up stretches. And then for the duration and time, kindly copy 30 seconds, 2 sets, and 1 repetition. Okay? And before we will discuss the exercise part, the sets repetition, kindly take screenshot on this slide first. Okay, and class, can I have 1 minute break first? Mag-drink sa water class and I'll be right back lang. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir.
Drink well, sir. Kapod, sir. Love you, sir.
Kiag mga now.
Shots.
Thank you, sir. Go.
Magtabi sa ta guys, oy.
Hi guys.
Video ni. Video.
Sa kunong ulit ko na mundo na
Magtabi sa ta ninyo sa tawag system.
So karon guys, ang
Sa dawan.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
hi guys.
Nako sa age.
Oh, pag-ilam mo ba? Respeto mo ba? Respeto. Pag-ilam.
Nako.
Bagon mo rin.
Nako sa age 3 or
May mga major na.
Hindi, wala.
Sir, dili ka audible, sir.
Yeah, man, nasilo.
Huh?
Ako lang silong di dyan.
Nabalik na ba si sir?
Murag wala pa.
Why is the screen moving?
Nag-ibitaw, no? Karoon ko kumantay.
Kaya ni sir, ay, nag-inom na tubig.
Di madung Sir,
Hello, sir. Gastorya ka, sir. Di ka naman madunggan.
Hindi madongga.
Okay, what's up, everyone? Hello?
Audible na ko, sir.
okay na, sir.
Okay. Sige, kanina class, namo ginanawag ang mga chairman ba? Okay, about the upcoming singlakas nga mahitabo ko ng October ba? Okay, so ako ang gi-answer, basin importante ba? Okay, and then kami na-assign man gud mi sa pinali nga part good sa singlakas. Okay, so akong gi-answer. Okay, so let's continue.
Okay, sir.
Ready. Okay, so kindly take screenshot on this slide. Okay, so I hope it's already finished. So, instead of copying the exercise part here, class, okay, so you have already the guide, the slide that I asked you earlier, ngayon yung screenshot. So for the exercises, you need to write 7 would be our maximum, 6 would be our minimum. Okay? So we have here example, squat, bench press, okay? And as you observe, all those exercises yun, makapa-improve og strength. Okay? And then in order for you to know what are the recommended, what are the proper correct resting time, the load percent of 1 RM, the RPE, the repetition, based lang sa kini nga table. Okay, so for example, intensity recommended for both beginners, moderate, and low intensity. Okay, so we have here load as percent of 1 RM. So for low intensity, below 67%, that's your load percent of 1 RM. So for example, 1 RM class, mo na siya ang highest ninyong maalsa. Nga for example, mga weight, okay? So mo na siya ang inyong highest nga maalsa ha. For example, 50 kilogram no. Okay, so try to get a calculator. So 70 or 50 lang. Sige, 50 kilogram lang, 1 RM for men, 50. Okay, and then multiply by the load percent recommended sa low intensity. So since 67% below, so mo use mo and try to choose those number lang. So for example, the alpha is 50 for men, this is for men. So gi-use ninyo og for example 60%. So 50 times 60%, okay? And the answer would be 30. So what does that mean? Okay, so the 30 class, that's the weight, no? The mo na siya tong gi-try og imagine nga while doing the specific exercise, for example here, deadlift. So for 30 kilogram, supposedly ang iyahang gialsa na weight. Okay, and then ang iyahang gi-use na percentage sa 1 RM for light intensity, 60%. So instead of writing 67% below, so you can write the specific exercise or percentage of your load percent of 1 RM. But if you want to copy lang, okay, this is just fun ha, in case you have an option. So if you want to copy 67% below as your load percentage of 1 RM, you can copy. But if you want to be specific, okay, so that's how you get your correct and specific load percentage of 1 RM. So again, 1 RM refers to the highest, okay, or possible weight lifted by a trainee or a student. So there in our example, so 50, so that's the highest 1 RM. Okay, so 50. Again, for ladies na lang po this time. So 10, for example, 10. Okay, that's your highest nga maalsa girls ha. And then times, if moderate, so 67 to 85. So let's try to use between those number lang. So 67 to 85, and I will try to use 75%, okay, of the percentage. 75% then equals, okay, so 7.5. So that would be the equipment, no, the weight of the equipment lifted by the specific student. Okay, so for ladies na siya. Okay, but for men, since ang mga men mas husgan man, okay, so instead of writing 10, so mawala na siya in order for you to get the specific amount of the percentage of 1 RM. So if dili ganahan mo use of specific percentage of 1 RM, so you can just copy what's in the table. And automatically, if you will write it 67 to 85% here in your table, between this number, so 85%. So what the intensity? So it's moderate intensity. Okay, and 80%, this is also moderate intensity. 70, that would be still moderate intensity. If you want to be, if you want just to copy this one. Okay, and then for the low intensity, the reps and duration, 12 and above for low intensity, and then for moderate intensity, 6 to 12 repetition or duration. And for the recovery between sets for a low intensity, 30 to 60 seconds. For moderate, 1 to 2 minutes. Sets per exercise for moderate, 3 to 6. For low intensity, 2 to 3 sets per exercise. Okay, so again, refer to this table so that you can fill these remaining informations nga need to be changed. Okay, especially the number of sets and repetition. And again, it will depend on the level of intensity of your program. Okay, so here in our example, moderate, so between this number lang, 67 to 85. Okay, so for low, so you can start 60% all. Okay, 60%, 60%, so that's automatically low intensity. And then for the RPE again, RPE, okay, katong 1, 2, 3. Okay, those number lang inyong i-use. And also, kindly take screenshot on this one. Annex B, your monitoring chart for your cardiovascular. Okay. And next slide, also take screenshot for Annex C for monitoring chart for muscular resistance training. Okay, so the reason why you need to have the monitoring chart, okay, so both student and the teacher, so that one, you start implementing your program or exercise routine, following your exercise prescription, we can check if there's any development or progress, okay, while using your exercise prescription. So here's what you're going to do first. So the parameters we have here, no, the date measured, initial progression. Okay, so kindly write it in your paper. For initial progression number, 0. Okay. And for the date measured, so make sure mag-measure mo ahead before you will implement your exercise prescription. Okay, so make sure wala pa mo naka-start implementing your program, measure this specific measurement like the height, waist circumference, the weight, your BMI. Okay, target heart rate, that's your heart rate at high interval, everyone. Also for the peak exercise heart rate, same thing, that's your heart rate at high interval. And board for RPE, that's your modified scale, okay, for the RPE. So this is the baseline. Okay, so this is before. And then we have here day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So are you going to fill this also this information? So only kindly leave it blank day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Leave it blank and then fill day 8. Okay, so mag-measure na po no balik. Okay, and then we can see, then we can compare based from the baseline, which wala pa mo nag-start to implement, and then day 8, which will be your last week of your exercise implementation. And then you need to measure it again, these parameters here. Okay, waist circumference, the height, the weight, BMI again on the last week of your performance. Same thing also on this one. Okay, but for this one class, copy lang. Copy the baseline. It's already in your exercise prescription for your strengthening. Okay, so all the baseline copy. Okay, so instead of writing instead of writing exercise 1, 2, 3, kindly write your specific exercise. Okay, so for example, exercise 1, sa tong exercise prescription for your exercise 1, mo to yung i-write. Okay, dili ang exercise 1. Okay, and exercise 2, 3, 4 until 6 or 7. And then for the RPE, so you need to write the modified RPE for your exercise. So for exercise 1, RPE, so moderate. So asa man nga light intensity, so 1 ug 2 ra gyud ang number. Then for moderate, number 3 only. Okay, so same also baseline lang ang fill upan. Okay? And not the baseline na. So instead of the baseline, I'm sorry, all can you change lang the exercise 1, 2, 3 into your specific exercise. Okay? So wala siya measurement na gi-measure but only for the conditioning. Okay, cardiovascular conditioning. Okay. So for the documentation, everyone, okay, so I know your cardiovascular conditioning is 3 times a week, and for the strengthening, twice a week. So overall, you will be performing 4 or 5 times in a week. Okay, with a video documentation. So everyone, you need to submit a video documentation each week of your program. But ato siyang i-adjust so that we can save more storage. Okay, so cardiovascular 3 times a week, right? So you can choose 1 day only nga mo submit mo og photo documentation, and then 2 video documentation. Okay, and also in submitting documentation, you may not include the warm up and cool down na pag document. Okay, so in-submit lang, go straight lang sa inyong stimulus or your specific exercise of your program. Okay? So that's your documentation sa cardio. And then for strengthening, so I know for strengthening no, na ay mga number of sets and repetition. So para mas makasave og storage again, kindly record lang every first set of your routine or your exercise. So for example, here, squat. That's your exercise one, squat. So 5 sets and 4 repetition. So you need to submit full video documentation sa first set with a 4 repetition. Okay, for the squat without using time lapse. Okay, and then the remaining sets and repetition, you can apply time lapse na, but not on the first set of your exercise. Same thing sa second exercise up to the last exercise. Okay, and also same gihapon for the warm up and cool down, do not include it in your video documentation, but it doesn't mean since dili siya included, dili siya din i-perform. You will follow gihapon what's in your prescription. Okay, but for the documentation lang, you can start documenting or doing the video no performance no sa inyong ng exercises. Okay? And kindly take note on the checklist for the part 2. Okay, so for part 2, you need to submit both exercise prescription for cardio and strengthening. Okay, so cardio and strengthening ang isubmit for part 2, which is written output, PDF or Word file. And then the second activity for part 2 would be your video defense. Okay, so for video defense class, I think you're familiar naman no, nga in defending ba, so video documentation, I can see your face sa lower part on the screen, sa right side or sa left side. And then, ang nakapresent sa screen is your output of your exercise prescription for cardio and strengthening. I guess na nakabuhat na mga na class. If wala pa, muna siya ang example. Okay, but before that, I think na question si okay, wala na. Asa man itong nag-raise of question? So, yes, Elizondo, go ahead.
Sir, individual ni siya, sir? Or
yes, this is individual. This is individual.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So, for while waiting no, for the example regarding the video defense, if you have clarifications or concern regarding the activities for module 3 part 1 and 2, kindly use the raise hand button for your question. Classes, go ahead.
Sir, kano sa gani ang deadline ani sir?
Deadline for this activity, I'll give you enough time to submit ha. Kindly mark the calendar on September 26.
OMG.
And no, not September 26. No, I'm sorry. Not September 26, but September 19.
OMG.
Okay, so supposedly the deadline yun next week, which is September 14. Okay, but since gipangkapoy man no, okay, so let's just make some adjustment lang regarding the deadline. So instead of September 14, September 21. Okay, so that's your final submission for module 3 part 1 and 2. This will be the deadline. Okay? Any more clarification, question? Please raise it now so that after we can go. And for the attendance, class mayor kindly check the attendance later. Okay, Henson, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Kanang unsa ang video nga mo i-defend kadtong cardio nga 1 day and strengthening.
Yes, miss. So, ang inyong i-defend is your exercise prescription sa cardio and strengthening. Okay? Kining na sa inyong slide. Okay? So, ako mga tagag-example. Okay? So, mo ni siya dapat ninyong buhaton. Okay? So, make sure in defending, I can see your face sa screen together with your prescription. This one. Okay, so I'll share this one first. Okay, it's still loading. Okay, this one, this will be your guide, okay, on how to defend your exercise prescription for both exercise prescription. Okay, so as you can see, the screen, no, na ang inyong prescription and also your face while defending, yes, sa lower part of your screen. Okay, so I hope, since you already know the idea, okay, so I hope you will make and submit this kind of output, okay, regarding the video defense. Okay. And then for the documentation class, HCon I will collect that one every week, okay? Sige. So let me finish first. So for week 1, okay, kindly mark your calendar that you will be start doing your exercise implementation starting September 26. Okay, mark the calendar. September 26, with this will be your week 1. October 3, this will be your week 2 of your exercise implementation. October 10 would be your week 3 exercise implementation. Week 4 would be on October 17 for your week 4 exercise implementation. And we will meet on October 26 for Module 5 discussion. Okay, so I hope inyong gimark ang calendar So, starting September 14 and 21, so we will not meet. Okay? So we will not meet, but what I need you to do is to submit all your activities starting Module 2 to Module 3 Part 1 and 2. If in case wala pa mo nakasubmit sa Module 2, so submit it on this date, 14 and 21. So that on September 26, you can start na your implementation week 1 of your program. I hope it's already clear for the scheduling. Okay? So, question clarifications regarding part 1 and 2 for module 3. Anyone would like to raise question or clarifications? Okay, if wala na clarification question, class mayor again, kindly check the attendance for each section for the attendance. Okay, then ako na siyang i-collect later at the end of semester. Okay. So, since you don't have question clarification class and it's already 7:35. Okay, so I'm sorry we finished late. Okay, then this will not happen again since mag-meet naman tabalik for on October 24. No, October 26 I mean. Okay, so everyone, thank you for attending. I know it's late. Okay, so ako rin kaning class bahala og late as long as naka-discuss na sa module 3 and module 3 part 1 and 2. Okay, so that next week focus na mo sa inyong implementation, so dili ta magklase. So you can use our PE time for your implementation of your program. Okay? So for section A13, A11, nawala man gulo, A11 and A5, okay? And A14, A4. Thank you everyone for attending this class. Okay, and you may go. Okay, and then for the attendance, class mayor, kindly check the attendance. Thank you everyone. And then if you have clarification question, you can use our GC to raise your question. Thank you everyone and have a good night. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mabuhay ang blessed day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Papi mo niyan yo.